Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing today? Okay, so I have attempted to make this video like 3 or 4 times, and I don't really even know how to do this video. So let me tell you kind of how this all went down for me, right? Well, first of all, I feel like I need to make this video because I have been covering this Ethan and Trisha stuff, and Trisha and Moses, and the allegations about Moses, and on and on and on, now through all of it. So I feel like I need to continue to cover this and talk about this, right? Not to mention that I received several messages, one of which I'm going to read to you later. I received permission to read it from people asking me to talk about this, okay? This whole situation at this point is just, I'm so confused by it, number one, and the whole situation is just very tragic and sad to me. And so let me tell you what happened, because I think the foundation for me going into this is important for you guys to understand, okay? So yesterday I had done a video with my best friend Tanya, and we did a video. I wanted to just do a lighthearted video yesterday. I didn't even know that this stuff was going on, okay? So a lot of people I had mentioned doing something about the Real Housewives, Erica Jane versus Sutton. And so a lot of people in the comment section had said, please do the Real Housewives, please do the Real Housewives. So Tanya and I, we got together and we did a video talking about Erica Jane and Sutton arguing on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. And we also talked about the new season of the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, of which in both situations there is legal proceedings that is kind of the focus of the show. In the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, okay, it is with Tom Giardi, who is, I think I'm pronouncing his name right, Erica Jane's husband, okay, and then on Salt Lake City, it is Jen Shaw. And in both situations, the person that is not talked about a lot on both shows is the victim. And that is what Tanya and I were talking about yesterday. We're like, you know, they're not even like focusing on the victim, right? Okay, and so we were talking about all of that, and it was interesting because at one point, my friend Tanya, who has watched every season of every Real Housewives forever, said that she didn't even think she could continue to go and watch Real Housewives of Beverly Hills if they continued to have Erica Jane on in any further season. You have to watch the video to see why she says that. But she's like, I'm just, you know, like, anyway. So in my head, I have that conversation, of which when I turned off the camera, Tanya and I continued to have this conversation about the victims, and it's always the victims that seem to be forgotten in these things, right? That whenever we're talking about these situations, it's always, you know, that it's all gassed up, right? About the person. It's like about Erica Jane, or it's about Jen Shaw, but it's not about the victims that are like left behind and forgotten, right? Like they're always the ones that aren't remembered or talked about. And so, you know, I was sitting here and I was going into this last night, and I'm trying to make sense of all of it, okay? I'm trying to make sense of all of this, and I received, I think it's just appropriate for me to read it now. And so I received this message from somebody who has chosen to stay anonymous but has allowed me to read the message. And this is what they said. Okay, hold on a second. They said, hold on a second. Okay. As a victim, I would appreciate your intake. After tonight, I feel used. I feel like this woman, referring to Trisha, took my pain, my emotions, and my trauma to gain my viewership. I'm a grown ASS woman. I'm a mother. I'm supposed to be strong. I've been clean for 9 years, Peter, from opiates. I never in my wildest dreams thought I'd allow YouTube to be anything more than entertainment. But all of this, I feel weak and I feel dirty. I feel so dirty because of Trisha Paytas, and it turns my stomach. And I was at a point of shaking on anger because of the things she put out today. She wants compassion. What about all the people who have been mocked with her effery? And so this was an interesting message to me. I had received a lot of messages similar to this last night, right? Of people asking me to talk about it and asking me to give my 2 cents about it, right? Well, for me to give my 2 cents of it, I have to make sense of it. And I have to be honest with you, like, I'm very, very confused. I think y'all know I'm not a drama channel, commentary channel, whatever you want to call me, that does deep dive investigations and throws 400 receipts up, and I'm not going to do that today, okay? Just to give you an idea of some of this, I will be referencing some of the text messages between Ethan, Klein, Hila, and Trisha. I will show you some of the video clips of Trisha last night that Trisha put up on Twitter, just to understand, I think, to see the state of mind that Trisha was in last night. But, you know, I sat in a parking lot after I got done of a gas station last night, after I got done vlogging, trying to figure out like where, like my thoughts, and because I just kind of couldn't get it out of my head. Like this really bothered me last night, and I was trying to figure out like where this all begins for me, like in looking at the whole situation, like where it all begins, because I was thinking about this. You know, if you go back, okay, so last night what happened was that apparently Trisha and Ethan and Hila had text message conversations, which I'm going to talk about in just a second, okay? So that was already going on. Then Keemstar from Drama Alert tweeted out, hold on a second, I have it all saved right here, that it doesn't, I don't need to read the tweet exactly, but tweeted out that, hold on a second, I have it right here, he tweeted out, H3 fans planning to go after Trisha Paytas' sponsors. And this was on the H3 subreddit where it said, send emails, tweets to Trisha sponsors. Don't let Trisha weasel herself out of this one, attack her money, okay? And Trisha retweeted this and said, it all starts from their Reddit that they control and monitor. We aren't just some random people that they have beef with. We have stopped and they won't. They're doing this to Moses and his workplaces too. It's really too far and they don't care, okay? And then Trisha retweets it again and says, Ethan says it's not his fans, it's mine. I have screenshotted the start of every hate campaign from the H3 subreddit. It's nasty and so vile. Trisha has been under the belief for quite some time that all of the hate and negativity that they receive is directly related to Ethan Klein, okay? That Trisha hasn't done any of this, that there's no reason why anybody, I mean, and what's interesting is that at times, Trisha has said, sure, I'm sure some of this is from me, but the majority of it is from Ethan, all directly related to the subreddit, okay? Well, I don't buy that. I just don't, okay? Trisha Paytas has been a volatile character on YouTube for years, okay? That people love and hate, love and hate, love and hate. That's just the truth. If you've watched Trisha for any amount of time, you know that to be true, okay? And Trisha has done so many things on their own that have gotten their own fans to just say, I'm completely done with this in the past, that to directly relate all this hate and negativity to one person and say that this is about Ethan and Hila and the H3 Reddit, I'm just not buying it. I'm sorry. I'm just not, okay? And the thing for me is this, and this is where, like, last night in the parking lot, I was like, this goes back so far. Like, this goes back so far, right? Okay, so that happened. Then Trisha comes out and is making all of these videos last night on Twitter, basically just begging because they want it to stop. They want it to stop. They want it to stop. I'll show you that in just a second, okay? It's too much. It's too much. It's too much. It's too much. If Trisha says it's too much once, Trisha says it's too much 5,000 times in these videos, okay? But this is the thing I'm wondering. Like, you've already texted with Ethan and Hila and asked them to stop, and they basically told you, you don't get to choose when this stops. Why would you then take it to Twitter? What you're wanting to do then is expose Ethan that he is saying it'll stop when we choose for it to stop, right? Like, that's what you're wanting to expose. You're not asking for it to stop. You're wanting to expose what Ethan said. That's what it's about. Because I went in here and I looked at this tweet, which was interesting. If you go to Trisha's Twitter, okay, and you look at her, their liked tweets in here, the liked tweet from the time that this all started, hold on a second, is, if you go to the liked tweet that from when it all started is, without Trisha, I wouldn't have ever gone back to H3 or would have spent hundreds of dollars on Teddy Fresh clothing. They brought in such a wide audience for Ethan, and this is how he repays her. And people underneath here had a lot to say. I mean, there were some interesting comments underneath here. And one person said, and I thought this was the most interesting, said, LMAO, imagine thinking Ethan owes Trisha anything because she happened to be the reason you started watching H3 and bought merch. What sort of sense does this even make? Okay, so I'm like sitting there and I'm watching this. And if you go back even further than this, what's happened is, in the last, I think it was 2 weeks, well, it happened a year ago, then it happened again 2 weeks ago. This ex of Moses's, okay? I don't really understand at this point if she is an ex-girlfriend of Moses's or if they went on one intimate date together around Valentine's Day or what. But she has come out and had a lot to say because she had continued conversations with Moses way after the fact when he was dating Trisha, on and on and on, okay? She has also made allegations of stealthing to Moses, of which I have talked about in previous videos, okay? So there's that, all right? So that's the first thing. Then on top of that, all of this, okay, Trisha Paytas has made allegations themselves, right? Which Ethan Klein from H3 took down a video on frenemies. I'm trying to talk about around this. You guys, if you know this stuff, you know this stuff. If you don't, go look over on Trisha's Twitter. You can find it all over there, okay? Y'all know YouTube doesn't like these words. And then there's a person that says, well, if YouTube doesn't like those words, then don't make the video, okay? So I'm going to make the video and I'm going to talk around it. That's what I'm going to do, okay? So Trisha had made allegations in the past and shared this many times, right? And even talked about it on a Frenemies podcast episode. Ethan took down that podcast episode saying that there was the conflicting stories and that this person had passed away and that he wasn't going to keep it up there basically because he didn't know the validity to the story, okay? So that's where we are as of yesterday. So then Trisha, here, let me just show you the video clips. I'm not going to show all of them to you guys. I'm literally going to probably just show you a minute of it. You really don't, it's just Trisha saying over and over again, please make it stop, please make it stop. My family, everybody's affected by this. Everybody in my life, my mother's affected by this. Because then yesterday, people were coming for Trisha's mom and saying, blaming everything that Trisha has ever done on Trisha's mom. And then apparently Trisha's mom was like not handling this well. And Trisha said, my dad, my mom, everybody has to see this. Moses has to see this, on and on and on. And so Trisha was just begging over and over and over again. Here's my thing, right? Like, you're going through all of this. Like, my friend Tanya Jean said this yesterday in the video about Erica Jane. You know, she said, you're going through, like, the biggest turmoil in your entire life, because they're talking about, like, how she's doing these sponsorships for a lingerie company. And my friend was like, you're going through, like, the biggest turmoil in your entire life, and you go back on your back porch and spread your cheeks for a picture. Like, that's what I don't understand about this, okay? And I understand that Trisha Paytas lives on social media, but you're going through, like, something that is, like, you literally are begging people to stop, and your go-to is to like tweets and get on social media to film videos. Like, I don't understand that. I really don't. You know, like, not in that moment. Like, but anyway, here's Trisha Paytas, very upset on Twitter.
Pleading for this to all end, to begging, because if the situation escalates and gets worse in any sense of the meaning of that, I just want people to know, I asked Ethan and Hila and everyone at H3 to stop. Because it is too much. It's too much. I get it. I'll grab this all of myself, fine. But it's like, it's too much. I don't care if people think I'm acting or whatever. Like, it's straight up bullying and begging to stop. And they have the power to, and just... any of this happened, I haven't heard from Ethan and Hila for any of this. And I went to them, like, pleading, and their reaction was like, no, it's too little too late. We don't get to decide anymore what we... It's like, I'm just begging, I'm just asking. I'm not telling anyone to do. I'm sincerely asking at, like, a breaking point. I tried to call privately, I tried to text privately, and I shared those texts because Ethan was like, I'm gonna share this. I didn't know. I take ownership. Doing frenemies was the worst mistake. Talking shit about anyone on the internet. I fucking am so sorry because it is life damaging. It's life ruining. I'm pleading. I just wish it was like a 1 ounce of sympathy, remorse, or something. I just don't went straight to that. This is the first time we ever talked since any of this happened. I haven't heard from Ethan and Hila for any of this. And I went to them, like, pleading, and their reaction was like, no, it's too little too late. We don't get to decide anymore what we... It's like, I'm just begging, I'm just asking. I'm not telling anyone to do. I'm sincerely asking at, like, a breaking point. I tried to call privately, I tried to text privately, and I shared those texts because Ethan was like, I'm gonna share this. I didn't know. I take ownership. Doing frenemies was the worst mistake. Talking shit about anyone on the internet. I fucking am so sorry because it is life damaging. It's life ruining. I'm pleading. I just wish it was like a 1 ounce of sympathy, remorse, or something. I just don't want this to escalate more. All of not sharing this anywhere else. I can't monetize Twitter. There's no sponsor. There's no ads. I just want this out there. This is embarrassing. This is embarrassing for me. I'm just so bleeding. I'm just so bleeding. Just stop. It's not drama. This isn't drama. This is my real life. And Moses is real life. My mom, my father. They see it. It's on the subreddit. Screenshot all of it.
Okay, so there they are. Then if you go into Trisha Paytas's Twitter and you go down and you read where they start releasing these DM or text messages between Trisha and Ethan, and Hila is included in there. And what Trisha says is, okay, so Ethan threatened to show all my text messages. I will show them myself, okay? So the first text message is basically Trisha begging them to stop, begging them because Moses is now... There's legal situations that are happening, possibly, and it's all of this happening, and Trisha's like, please just stop, please just stop, please just stop, okay? And that's basically the first paragraph. And then they link, like, things from the subreddit. And Trisha is basically saying that they believe that Ethan and Hila and the rest of the H3 people can get this subreddit to stop talking about Trisha. That's what Trisha believes. You know what's interesting about this is, and I saw a clip yesterday, and this was like to do with the whole David Dobrik thing and the guy that was coming out and he was getting hate messages and death threats and whatever. And somebody showed this video clip of Trisha Paytas from the Frenemies podcast, okay, where Trisha Paytas said, I receive death threats every day. You get on YouTube, you know that's part of the job. You know you're going to get hate, you know you're going to get this, right? Like, if you've been on YouTube long enough, you know, like, do you really believe that Ethan Klein could say to the subreddit, I want you to stop talking about Trisha, and they're going to stop talking about Trisha? Ethan Klein does not have that kind of control, Trisha. And Trisha, you know that. Like, Trisha Paytas... My dog started barking at the neighbor's dog. Anyway, Trisha has been on YouTube long enough to know that Ethan Klein and Hila and the H3 podcast people crew, they have no control over what is going on over that subreddit, right? Like, to assume that they control that and all that kind of stuff, unless they are the moderators and they have started all... I mean, I don't know. Is that true? Is that true? If it is, then they are controlling what's going on over there. But I just can't imagine that Ethan Klein has enough time in the day to moderate his subreddit. I don't believe that to be true, that that's what he does. But I could be wrong. I could be wrong. So anyway, let me know in the... But that is what Trisha is insinuating, okay? So anyway, if you go underneath here, Trisha's like, I'll do anything. I'll pay you back all the money, blah, 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 okay? So Ethan says that you need to make a statement about the allegations that Trisha has made in the past, all right? And Trisha says, you don't get to tell me what to do with that. Okay, well, hold on a second. Let me get to it. So, hold on a second. Okay, that's the whole first thing. Okay. Then the second thing is, Trisha says, wow, I am pleading you just to stop. Please, I am pleading. This is not funny. It's actually distress. Please, I'm begging you. So then Trisha says, I tried calling you, Ethan, please. And Ethan says, anything you want to say in writing, please. And Trisha says, I am saying it. I am pleading for you to stop. Why can't you? And he says, okay, then no need for phone. And Trisha says, why can't you just leave me alone, please? At this point, hold on a second. Trisha says, why can't you just leave me alone, please? Everyone you talk about me, more of this comes up. Moses is being accused of this. It's too effing much. You can record our call. I don't care. I'm sincerely begging for this to be over. And at this point, Hila steps in. And Hila, you can tell, has had it, okay? And it's very concise, precise, and direct. And Hila says, my mom is having a mental breakdown, and my whole family is basically broken down. Welcome to the club. You're not the only victim here. Start taking responsibilities for your own actions and stop blaming us for everything that's happening to you. And same for Moses, who is not in this chat, but I'm sure he is reading it. And so then Trisha says, I have stopped, I've stopped, I've stopped, I've stopped. Hila says, a little too late. And Trisha says, please just do the same. It's not. It keeps going and going and going. What do you want, Moses, to go to jail? Hila says, sorry, you also don't get to tell us what to do either. Okay? And then Trisha says, I'm not. I'm asking, like pleading. And then Ethan says, how do you know that he didn't do it? Referring to the allegations from the ex. And Trisha said, he didn't. There's text. And Ethan said, how do you know? And Trisha says, he has so many. And Ethan said, I saw all the texts. And Trisha says, wow, you guys know him? And Ethan says, I thought I did. I don't know him. I believe the victim. And Trisha said, you are falsely accusing someone you know. And this is where, this is like a huge issue, right? Because Trisha's always pro-victim. Okay, and this is where a lot of Trisha's fans who have, this is where for me, like, okay, take me to 2 o'clock in the morning in the parking lot, and I'll tell you about that in just a second, okay? So then it goes on, hold on a second. Okay, Hila said, you are sending her hate nonstop. And Trisha's, and Hila's talking about this ex of Moses's. Think about what you're doing. And Trisha said, I haven't said anything. And Hila said, calling her a stalker. And Trisha said, I'm effing stopping everything. I just want this to end. And she said, or they said, I am pleading. I am not telling you what to do. I'm asking, like effing please. And Ethan said, and you would do if you actually cared about victims, you hypocrite. Shame on you both. Both of you. I am so trembling with anger and disgust, shame and sadness. And Trisha said, what? People lie. People do. This is not a random case. This is someone you know. Okay, so Trisha is now saying that the ex is lying about what is going on, okay? Ethan said, Trisha said, what? People lie. People do. This is not a random case. This is someone you know, referring to Moses. And Ethan said, I thought it was. And Trisha said, your whole Reddit is saying I lied about, okay, and then their allegations. And Ethan said, your accusation does not line up with your evidence. I am still waiting for you to clarify. And Trisha said, you can hate us. And Ethan said, I owe you nothing. And Trisha said, fine. Oh my God, okay. And Ethan said, shame on you both, shame. And then it goes in, and that's the end of the text messages, I think. But that's where it goes back, and Trisha is leaving one video after another, after another, after another. It's so hard for me to follow, you guys, in all honesty, and the whole situation is so sad. My battery died. This video does not want to get made. I'm telling you it doesn't. Anyway, but you know, it just, this whole situation makes me so sad, okay? There are so many people that are affected by this at this point, right? And I'm just like, you know, I have said this all along, like this is a family issue. Like this has started as a family issue, but then when I was sitting in the parking lot last night, okay, I was like collecting my thoughts. And so let me tell you my thoughts of what I wrote last night at, I probably have a time on here, don't I? Oh, 2 o'clock. It was 5:55 a.m. I wrote this. Okay. I said all the people in Trisha's life are affected by this, but she won't stop either. So Trisha is coming out and Trisha is saying, everybody in my life is affected by this. My mom, my dad, on and on and on. But Trisha doesn't stop. Like, Trisha does not stop, okay? Like, Moses is directly being affected by this. Moses is the reason that Trisha is texting Ethan and Hila, but Trisha can't stop. Trisha continues to come out and say all this stuff on, you know, Twitter and social media. And then, so I said, you know, this is way too serious. The allegations are serious. And then it goes back to the whole situation where my friend Tanya and I were talking about yesterday, that this is where like really tragic situations are to some degree like turned into internet fodder, you know? And it's like, I think like Trisha Paytas doesn't know how to live off of the internet at all, you know? So I went into this last night because whenever I make a Trisha Paytas video anymore or Ethan Klein video, there's no way for me to make it and not have people say, well, you have a lot of bias towards the situation. So I was like, you know, let me take a look at this and see what like my bias really is about this. And I wrote some notes down, but I think I know enough to say, you know, I said on here why I liked Trisha at the beginning, you know? I felt like Trisha was like a kind of a friend to all of us. There was a part of ourselves that I could relate to in Trisha. I liked Trisha's hauls. I liked Trisha's favorite videos. You know, Trisha was this girl that, you know, struggled with her weight and talked about it openly. And I really never seen anybody like that. And I related to that, you know, and got all glammed up and liked to be pretty. And don't we all like to look nice once in a while, you know? Don't we all wish that we could have the American dream and go from a small apartment to a mansion in Beverly Hills? You know, it's like, I think that's what it was for me with Trisha. But like that couldn't be enough for Trisha. And over time what happened was Trisha kept on pushing the envelope of trolling. And I can remember back in the day, you know, Trisha talking about and comparing herself to the comedian, I can't remember what his name was, the guy that was on Taxi, you know? And Trisha would compare herself to, or themselves to the comedian Andy Kaufman. Was that the guy on Taxi? You know, and so Trisha would push the envelope of trolling, you know, with sometimes political things, and sometimes it was 10 times more serious than that. And then it was at a point where you didn't know if Trisha was trolling, or if you didn't know if Trisha was trolling and telling the truth or not. You didn't know, you know? And I said in a video a couple years ago something about, you don't know if Trisha's telling the truth or not, right? And I literally got eaten alive for making that statement in a video. I got eaten alive. People were like, how dare you? How dare you? Trisha Paytas came for me over that too. Not once, not twice. People say I'm so biased. Trisha Paytas came for me over that, okay? Because I said, you don't know what to believe because Trisha Paytas lies so much, you don't know what's the truth. Flash forward 2 years later, we don't know what to believe because Trisha lies so much, right? And I'm getting constantly tagged in all of these different videos that are being put out about Trisha's lies, right? But 2 to 3 years ago, you said anything about Trisha Paytas being a liar, it was like you were the worst thing in the entire world. You know, and that was, I think, what I initially, not that, but what I initially liked about Trisha was this kind of like, I don't know, she kind of seemed like that friend that could never kind of pull it together, but like got all the luck in the world and, you know, looked glam, but then could be sitting in the kitchen at 2 o'clock in the morning and eating Domino's and whatever. And I liked that Trisha, and I related to that Trisha. I don't like this Trisha. It's too much to be putting it on YouTube as a form of entertainment, okay? In any way, sense of the word. And what makes me the saddest about it is that if I related to it because of the weight stuff, or if I related to it because of Trisha sharing about just parts of her life that I was like, oh, I like this, or eating at 2 o'clock in the morning or whatever, the more that Trisha has like talked about very serious topics, okay? Just like the person that I shared with, you know, the person's tweet, like they relate to Trisha because of all of the things that Trisha has said and put out there. And now people are like, well, what's the truth and what's not the truth, okay? What do we believe and what don't we believe? And that's the position that Trisha Paytas has gotten themselves into at this point, right? The day was going to come, you know, the day was going to come where all of this stuff that Trisha Paytas had done was going to eventually lead up to this day. And the problem is this, right, is that this starts way before Ethan Klein. This starts before Ethan Klein ever entered the room. This starts before Trisha Paytas didn't like Ethan Klein. This starts before Moses and Hila. This starts before Frenemies and the H3 podcast. This goes way back, okay? This goes back years to Trisha Paytas doing these trolling videos and people not knowing if Trisha was telling the truth or if she was being honest, and then coming out and apologizing for it, crying on her kitchen floor. The things that Trisha has like been joked about for years are now the things that people, it's gone to a point of total seriousness where people are like, yeah, this isn't funny anymore. And it really, to be honest with you, hasn't been funny for quite some time. The envelope has been pushed too far, right? That's the problem, okay? What I would say to Trisha Paytas, if Trisha Paytas even cared to hear what I had to say, is, you seem to have a lot of money, gal, okay? You seem to have a pretty gifted life, you know? You have very beautiful cars, you have a nice house. Downsize. Take a year off, okay? Go get some real help. Real help. Okay? If you care enough about your well-being, the people that are around you, go and get some real help. I don't know. I don't know what that looks like, okay? I don't know if that means check in somewhere or get something 7 days a week. Maybe just disconnecting from YouTube, Twitter, everything for a year. You know, I think a lot of these people have lived on social media for so long, they don't know how to live off of social media. You know, I'm just this normal dude in Indiana, right? Like, I know people think it's so much more than that, but I mean, I'm just a normal dude that lives in Indiana that goes get some Starbucks coffee and tries a crumble cookie or two and likes to listen to a cozy mystery and goes to 12-step meetings with my best friend. That's who I am, you know, travel with my husband, watch a show late at night, watch RuPaul's Drag Race with my husband. That's who I am, okay? I don't live 24 hours a day on social media, and I don't understand it. But there's a lot of these YouTubers and people out there that have lived on social media for a long time, and they can't stay off of it, right? Trisha Paytas, go get yourself some real help. If not, it's just gonna, the next time, it's just gonna get worse. It's just gonna get worse. This has been proven over time, okay? If you look at the past and the things that Trisha has shared and the things that Trisha has said, it's just gonna get worse. And I'm really at a point of being very, very worried, okay? I mean, this is not just drama commentary for me. I'm being honest with you. I'm very concerned about the well-being of all of the people that are involved in this, okay? A lot of the fans as well who look up to these people, and then all of a sudden the person that they've been relying on for support because they have no friends, they have no family, they have no support network, so them checking in with this person every night, that person is now somebody that they can't go to. You know, I mean, that to me is worrisome. I'm worried about everybody involved, you know, and I think this is a moment. You know, I saw that Ethan Klein put out a statement that H3 was going to take a break. My battery is flashing at me, it's going to die. But H3 was going to take a break for a week and not post a video. I think that's smart. I think it's time for some people to take a break from all of this, you know? I was thinking about, like, my bias towards Ethan, Klein, and Hila. I really like Ethan Klein. I really do, okay? I know that all these people have, like, huge issues with Ethan Klein. I think his humor is just this kind of internet back and forth that it's almost kind of like the guys club, which I don't fit into, but I have seen exist on YouTube for a very long time, right? And I'm not saying that that's okay, but it is just is. I feel like Ethan Klein has, I don't know, like he and Hila seem to be clear-headed and focused when addressing some of this stuff, right? And I feel like I feel like if we saw the real picture of what had happened behind the scenes from the beginning of Frenemies all the way to today, I think it would be a much clearer picture of why they have such a huge issue with Trisha Paytas, you know? I think that we have only just seen a glimpse of what has happened, you know, to all of this. And it's like, I don't know, the whole situation just really, really is just heartbreaking to me. And I feel like, you know, this has been this ongoing kind of snowball that has happened in Trisha Paytas' life of like just bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And then here we are. And it's very, very serious. You know, one of the things I was thinking about last night was if I were sitting down with Trisha or if I was sitting down with Ethan and Hila, and they were friends of mine in my life, okay? Just people that I really, really knew. And Trisha said, what do you think that I should do? Like right now, what do you think I should do? Not as an internet person, not as a YouTuber, not as a celebrity. What do you think I should do as a human being? I would say, Trisha, take 6 months or a year off of social media. Don't look at it. Turn it off. Delete the apps from your phone. Don't get on your phone. Go get some serious help. I don't know. Find out if there is a facility that you can go away from and be away from all of the craziness and chaos in your life, you know, and go just work on you. Go work on you and fix you, you know. Put yourself first. Take care of yourself, you know, because at this point, it's affecting you. It's affecting others in your life, you know. Go fix that, you know. If Ethan and Hila were sitting next to me and they were like, okay, Peter, and we were friends in real life and they said, you know, what do you think that we should do? I would say, I don't think it's a bad idea to not talk to Trisha. I don't think it's a bad idea to set limits and boundaries with people. I talk about this on my Peterisms channel all the time, that it's important to set boundaries and limitations with people that we find toxic in our lives. We have to. We have to set boundaries and limitations with people that we find toxic in our lives, right? And I don't necessarily think that it's a bad idea for Hila and Ethan to go and talk to somebody either. You know, do I think that they need to be off social media forever? No, I don't think it's the same situation. You know, Trisha Paytas, this has been a pattern that has been going on for a very, very long time, you know? But do I think for Ethan and Hila to say, no more, we've had enough, and we're not going to talk to you until you get some help? Yeah, I think that's probably a healthy move right now. I don't know that any of these people need to be talking about each other. I don't think that they need to be talking to each other. And I think that they all should be taking some time to work on their own best mental health. As should all of us, you know? If you watch my videos for long enough, you know I'm extremely passionate, okay, about the recovery, or about recovery from addiction, having been sober for 26 and a half years. I'm also extremely passionate about finding affordable mental health treatment in the United States because we do not have good, affordable mental health treatment in the United States, which is confusing then to me. Why? There are so many people on a daily basis that are fighting and jumping through hoops and trying to get their insurance to pay, or they don't have insurance, so they're trying to fight a sliding fee scale. They're getting on a wait list for a charity care facility, and on and on and on and on. I've had friends of mine that have jumped through these hoops for years and years and years just to get the appropriate mental health treatment that they deserve, okay? And here you have people out here that have the money to go get the mental health treatment that they want or that they need, And then they seemingly, because it hasn't been brought to our attention, aren't doing that. And I'm not talking about therapy sessions twice a week. I'm talking about checking off from the internet and going and working on yourself. I don't understand that. So, you know, this to me is a situation that is going to get worse, not better, until it is worked on individually. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comment section below. I love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.